Using alternate tunings is a great way to unlock some new avenues on the guitar. We as guitar players often just get stuck in the habit of playing everything in standard tuning, and that means we use the same chords, the same chord progressions, the same scale shapes. You know the drill, we always get stuck in this same routine. But there are a bunch of great artists out there who've written some amazing songs using alternate tunings. So in this video, I'm going to show you 4 riffs that use 4 different alternate tunings. And all of these tunings are really easy to set up on your guitar, and they are really great for just unlocking a huge range of new possibilities in your own songwriting. So before I show you the 4 alternate tuned riffs that I've chosen for this lesson, I just want to let you guys know that this is a sponsored video today. The sponsors of today's video are Walrus Audio. Walrus are paying me to make this video, and they have provided me with their brand new canvas tuner for this video as well. But as always, all the thoughts and opinions included in the video are my own. The canvas tuner that they've sent me is what I'm going to be using to show you how to put your guitar into all of these different tunings. This is a chromatic tuner with a bunch of cool things under the hood, including the ability to actually have your own custom images on the screen. So when you're away on tour, you can have photos of your family or your pets, or even your favorite guitar on the bypass screen, which is pretty cool. It's got a bunch of different tuning modes, screensavers, and it's just a general fun guitar tuner. They've actually found a way to make a really essential utility pedal a little bit more fun. So this is the tuner that I'm going to be using in this video. Alright, so gear wise, I'm going to be kicking off with my LT Custom Guitars Custom T. I'm going to be using a humbucker guitar later on in the video as well. This is plugged into the Blackstar St. James 6L6, which is running completely clean. That is going via the 2 notes Torpedo Captor X. In the front of the amp, I've also got the Kernum Ridge Overdrive. I'm going to be using the Ridge for all the different overdrives you hear in this video, but I am going to be tweaking it as I go to suit the different riffs that I play. So the first thing we're going to do is check out the canvas tuner. So this is the bypass mode. So this is where you can have your own custom images. If you want to, like I said, put a photo of your partner or your family or your pets or whatever you want, it will appear on this screen when you're in bypass mode. When we turn the tuner on, we come to this screen, and this is the screen that we're going to be using a lot in this lesson today. This is where we're going to be seeing each of the notes. So if I play an E, you can see I've got an E note coming up there, which is slightly flat. This is the screen we're going to be using to tune our guitar for all of the riffs we learn. So the first thing we're going to learn is from the Rolling Stones track Brown Sugar. This is in open G tuning, and the riff sounds like this. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to tune your guitar to open G tuning. So the low E string on your guitar is going to be tuned down until it goes to a D. So we want to get a D for the lowest note, like so. The A string needs to be tuned down full step to a G. Your existing D string will stay the same, that stays as a D, as does your existing G. Your B string will also stay as a B, but your high E will come down to a D. So low to high, we have D, we have G, we have D, G, B, D. That gives us the notes of a G chord. Now the cool thing with this tuning is you can play bar chords with one finger. Which is one of the reasons that Keith Richards loves this tuning. So the riff is based around that whole idea of barring. So we're playing everything here on the middle 4 strings. So we're not using the low D, even though we did tune to that, and we're not using the high D either for this. Everything is on the G, D, G, and B strings for this riff. So for the whole riff, you're going to be barred across those 4 strings with your index finger, and we're going to be using our other fingers to add some chord shapes above the bar. So the first part of the song you hear is the intro riff. So for this, you want to bar across the 12th fret. With your middle finger, you want to play the 13th fret on the B string, and with your third finger, you want to play the 14th fret on the D string. So we're playing that chord, hitting that once, and then taking those fingers off to just the bar. Come down to the 5th fret, and we're doing the same thing but in reverse. We're playing the bar first, then adding those two fingers on. So they're going on to the 6th fret of the B, the 7th of the D. So we're playing it twice with the bar, twice with the chord, once with the bar. So together. Goes around 4 times in the main riff. Then to the second part of the riff, we're still sticking with those 4-string bars, but this time we're starting on the 8th fret, and the note we're going to be adding on and off is the 10 on the G. So we're playing the bar once, adding that 10, playing it twice more, there's a slight ring there, play it again, and then go back to the bar. Then we come down to the 5th fret, we're doing exactly the same rhythm. This time we're using the 6th fret on the B string, which we'll use our middle finger for. So that's... Then we're coming down to the 1st fret, and we're going on and off the 3rd fret of the G. Just like that. Up to the 3rd, and we're going straight into the 4th fret of the B string. Like that, so we're playing with the 4, then without the 4. Then we're coming back to the 5th fret again, but this time we're going back to that chord shape we used in the intro. Playing it 3 times, then going to just the bar. So that's 8th fret with the 10 on the G. 5th with the 6 on the B, 1st with the 3rd on the G, 3rd with the 4th on the B, and then 5th with that chord shape, 6 on the B, 7 on the G. So your index finger actually keeps that barred shape for the entire riff. So we're going to play that intro part 4 times, then that other main riff twice. It's going to be like this in full. The second riff that we're going to learn is from the Rage Against the Machine track, Killing in the Name, and this uses a tuning called Drop D. This is how the riff sounds. Drop D tuning is a really easy tuning to do because we actually only need to change one string. So I've gone back to standard tuning now to show you how to get to drop D from standard. So the only thing we're doing is taking the low E string and we're dropping it down a full step until it hits a D. So the low E becomes a D, the A string is still an A, the D is still a D, the G is still a G, the B is still a B, and the E is still an E. So everything else is the same other than that low D. What this tuning allows us to do, which is really cool, is play power chords with a single finger. So where we would normally play power chords in this shape, we can now just do it like this by barring across the lowest 3 strings. So this riff is quite simple to play and it's a lot of fun. Everything here takes place on the lowest 3 strings, so the low D, the A, and the other D string. Starting off with an open low D, Then we're playing the 3rd on the A and hammering onto the 5th. So it's open low D, 3 to the 5 on the A. Then you're muting the strings by resting your hands on it and hitting them twice. So you want that dead percussive sound. So for that, you're just resting on the strings, you're not pressing down at all. We're playing the 3rd fret on the D and hammering onto the 4. And then playing the 5 on the A. Then we're playing the low D and A open. The 2 on the low D and A, and hammer onto the 3 on both those strings. And then back to the 2. And that's all there is to that riff. The real thing here is getting all the notes clean and trying to capture the groove of the original. Tom Morello is quite aggressive when he plays, so when you're playing some of those notes, don't be afraid to dig in a little bit. Especially those percussive notes, you really want to dig in on those. Here's how this riff sounds in full. Right, so I've changed to a humbucker guitar now, which is the Stanford Guitars Crossroad Marquee. Now, the 3rd riff I'm going to show you is a Led Zeppelin riff from the song Kashmir, and this uses the tuning known as DADGAD. So here's how this riff sounds in full. So from standard tuning, we need to retune 3 of the strings for this tuning. The low E is going down to a D. The A is still going to be an A. The D is still going to be a D. The G is still going to be a G. The B is also going to go down a full step to an A. And the high E is going to go down a full step to a D. So low to high, we've got D, A, D, G, A, D. This tuning was really popular in folk music, but Jimmy Page took that and turned it into a really cool rock riff. Now this riff has a really, really interesting groove. Now, when you first listen to this, it would be really easy to think that this riff is in some kind of strange time signature, but it's actually in 4/4. But what Jimmy Page is the absolute master of doing is moving where you perceive the beat to be. So this actually sounds like it's in a strange time signature because the riff seems to always be on an offbeat, but it's actually, like I said, it's in perfect 4/4 timing. It's quite easy to play in terms of the actual technicality of playing the riff. What's really hard is nailing the groove. So we're actually using a chord shape with an ascending note in it. So the chord shape we're going to be using is always going to be playing the 5th fret on the A string. So you want to do that with your little finger and the open D string. Those two are the same notes, so you're going to get this constant drone. Now, I've seen people play this without playing the A string, and that also works because you are still getting the D note, but the drone between the 5th fret on the A string and the open D is kind of part of the sound of this riff. With your index finger, you're going to play the 2nd fret on the G. So we're playing 5 on the A, open D, 2 on the G. So that's the chord shape we're going to use, but the note on the G is the note that we're going to be changing each time. So starting off with that chord shape, and we're playing it 3 times. Then there's a pause, and then we're playing it 3 more times. And then we're hitting that low D. Once we hit that low D, that's our cue to change. So now my index finger slides up to the 3rd fret on the G, but the other fingers remain the same. We do the same thing. 2. Up to 3. Then we go up to 4, so you can change the finger arrangement of the entire shape at this point if you need to, but you're still playing the 5th on the A along with the open D. So we've gone 2, 3, 4 on the G. Then we go to the 5th on the G. So it's, again, exactly the same thing, but we're basically going... playing that with the other notes. Now here's where it gets weird. The next one we play is the 7 on the G. And this is where the riff actually sounds like it goes out of time, because you play that once as a grouping of 3, but then you go back to the 2 and play that once as a grouping of 3. So it actually sounds like you kind of restart the entire riff. Even though it is locked into 4/4 time, it creates the feeling of an offbeat. I'll go from the 5 and it goes like this. So there's that push back to the start, but we're actually playing the 7th fret. That kind of makes it feel like the offbeat comes in. So I'll play that slowly. The real thing here is the groove. The groove is the hard thing to master. Now when you're playing this one, like I said, it's really important to listen to the groove, so spend some time listening to the track and trying to play along with it. The hard part is shifting from there to there, because that's where you kind of feel like you go out of time a little bit. It's completely normal because it is quite a weird timing to follow, but it is actually in 4/4 even though it doesn't sound it. So that is the riff for Kashmir. And for the 4th and final riff, we're going to be tuning quite low. We're going to be tuning to C sharp standard for this. This is the riff from the song Children of the Grave by Black Sabbath, and it goes like this. Alright, so for this, we're tuning every string on the guitar down a step and a half. So what we're actually doing here is we're tuning all the strings down at the same time by the same pitch distance. So everything we play in standard tuning will actually work in this new tuning, but it's just going to be 3 semitones lower than what we hear in standard. So from standard tuning, our E string is going way, way down to a C sharp. Now, what I will say before I finish tuning for this is if you've got a guitar with 9-gauge strings on, you may struggle to keep this tuning in tune because obviously we're removing quite a lot of tension from the strings here. Now, Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath did actually play in this tuning with light gauge strings. So it is possible. Make sure the strings are incredibly well stretched in. But as a general rule, you're probably going to want to go up a gauge if you're coming down to this level, if you're going to stay in this tuning. So if you use 9s, you might want to restring your guitar with a set of 10s or even 11s to compensate for the tension difference. So the low E is going down to a C sharp. A string is coming down a full 3 semitones to an F sharp. So these are now the same pitch distance as E to A. The D string is coming down 3 semitones to a B. The G is coming down 3 semitones to an E. The B string is coming down 3 semitones to a G sharp. and then the high E is coming down to a C sharp. So as you can see, we've taken a lot of tension off all 6 strings there. So it's low to high, we've got C sharp, F sharp, B. Don't be surprised if this tuning struggles to hold at first. You may need to re-stretch your strings because you are removing a lot of tension from them, like I said. E, G sharp, C sharp. So this actually now functions as standard tuning, but just everything's down much lower. So all your existing chord shapes will work, all your scale patterns will work. You can basically play as if you're in standard tuning, but just hear everything much lower. So even though we've tuned all 6 strings down, we're actually only using 2 strings for this riff, the low C sharp and the low F sharp. So the riff is based around some power chords and a galloping low string pattern. Now the lowest strings that we're going to be playing are going to be palm muted, but what you don't want to do is you don't want to get this really tight palm mute like that. You don't want that. You actually want quite a loose palm mute. So just lightly palm mute, but also try and bring your hand back slightly so you do deaden the strings, but you get this kind of low end bloom from it. What you don't want is, don't want it to be super tight. You want that bloom. So I'm just resting my palm just at the exact point where the string comes over the saddle. That just allows it to kind of breathe a little bit and almost sustain slightly with the deadened string. So we're playing 2 down-picked low C sharp notes. You can hear that kind of ringing through there. Then I'm playing the 7th fret on what was my A string, is now my F sharp string, with that low C sharp, but I'm playing that as like a triplet, 1 and a. But I'm doing up, down, up. So the rhythm is down, down, which is just the lowest string, then the 2 strings together, up, down, up. So you get this galloping sound, which is part of the riff. So again, getting that palm mute right is essential to getting the sound of the riff, because if it's too tight, it sounds like this. We don't want that tightness, we want that looseness, so bring that hand back. So we're doing a bar and a half of that gallop pattern. So we're doing that 3 times. We're going... Then we're playing 2 power chords rooted from that low string, the 8 and the 7. So that's the basis of the riff. We're playing that twice. After the second repeat, we go to the 10th fret as a power chord, play that and slide it up to the 12. That's held for about a bar and a half. Then we come up to the 15th fret, play that twice, before going back to the 8th fret twice. So that goes... Then we play that 8th fret twice more, and go to the 10th fret. And then 2 more hits on that 10th fret again. If you're newer to playing and you can't quite count beats really tightly while you're playing, because some new players find that quite distracting as they're focusing on what they're playing, just listen to it over and over again. Try and get the melody of the riff in your head and just feel it out, because it's quite intuitive as to where those chords come in. But like I said, there is a lot of space around where they do fit. So here's that riff once more in full. So there you go, there are 4 riffs in alternate tunings that you can learn, and then also take those alternate tunings and experiment with them. Using alternate tunings will really unlock your guitar playing, and there are a ton of other alternate tunings. There's not just the 4 that I've talked about in this video. Let me know down below in the comments what your favourite alternate tunings are and what riffs in those tunings you love playing. While you're doing that, don't forget to hit the like button, and if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. Thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I'll see you soon.